afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Jamal, for introducing me and also for introducing our panelists for this afternoon. Now that we know who our panelists are, I see that they are, various leaders in the banking, financial, and insurance industry. Now we will proceed with the discussion session proper. First, the question that we wanted to ask our panelists for this afternoon really is, do you see or have you ever considered artificial intelligence and automation as one of the critical game changer for transforming customer experience? And if they can share their experiences from their own automation and digital transformation programs on their respective companies. We'll start the discussion with Dan Villaroman.
Uh, okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here, and also my esteemed colleagues as well from the different financial services industry. Yes, Hazel, I do agree. But we also have to agree, everyone, that as a collective function, we feel like customer service transformation has also lagged, sometimes overlooked, sometimes also put behind many others on the priority list of our digital transformation imperatives. Sure, there have been some across the board investments for digital experiences like adding a chatbot, using AI driven chatbot, video chat, email, text, SMS, but it seems like the experience is somewhat iterative rather than transformational. And today we have to note that our customers are both, number one, empowered, because today we live in an on-screen world. We live in our 6 by 3 devices, and it has become the center of our universe. So for us as a business, since customers live on their screens, shouldn't we also live on screen? The second one, aside from being empowered, is they are also entitled. The experiences driven by the Amazons and the Zappos of the world has created a new standard that has been a norm for our customers. And since we're living on an on-screen world with these expectations in mind, a lot of us, 84% according to Forrester, all 84% of us start our interaction with the company online. So to address the behavior and the lifestyle today of our customers, for us, we feel like we have to make sure that we are also engaging them in the middle of their digital transformation. So today, the reality is, in fact, customers expect that every issue can be solved online, but also at the same time, giving them in control of the interaction and meeting them where they are. So for in life, what we're doing in terms of addressing these needs of the customers of today is based on the principles of four things that we have to put in mind as we transform our customers' experience. Number one, make everything happen on screen as much as possible. The second one is make self-service whenever it is available for the customer. And if not, the third one, on-demand on-screen assistance whenever needed. So if you have to call someone from the company while you're doing your digital journey, it has to happen on screen. And the fourth one, we cannot avoid customers calling off-screen voice over the phone. So if that happens, we instruct our agents to transition them to on-screen interaction, meaning use near-screen interaction. Because when they call using the phone, chances are there's a very high chance that they're beside their phone or the computer. So, hey, are you near beside your phone? I can teach you how you can do it online so that the next time it will be easier. So our strategy right now, use AI and automation, is that we need to enable to happen everything on screen. And the strategy is meeting our customers where they are 3 times, meaning number one, meet them where they started their interaction with us, wherever that is. The second one is meeting them in the middle of their resolution journey. And last one is meeting them also at the middle of their own digital transformation as they also transform their lifestyle for today. So that's how we are addressing the need of the customers today using AI and automation.
All right. Thanks, Dan, for that very beautiful insight. I hope that you are progressing well in terms of this transformation. Like, I know it's not going to be easy, right? And not just in a snap of a finger, everything is all set. but hopefully you're progressing well on your transformation. Now, maybe we can hear some thoughts on this from Pepper's side. Hi, Pepper.
Hi, Hazel. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, in terms of the impact of digitalization of AI and automation in customer experience, I think right now, more than ever, it has the biggest impact because most of the people have already transitioned from the manual or the traditional channels into digital platforms. Customers right now, they are actually very busy and they're actually very picky in selecting the channels that they actually prefer. So there are several options, there are several preferences of our customers. And if we're just going to give our customers or direct our customers in just in a limited channels, limited platforms. The challenge is that there will be a limitation on the number of customers that we would like to serve, especially right now that most of our customers would like to reach out to organizations to help with their concerns from the basic inquiries to the most complex concerns and serving them through traditional channels like for example the contact center would be difficult to assist them all at the same time. Having an automated platform and AI will be able to allow us to serve multiple customers at the same time. We will be able to provide services 24/7 anywhere, anytime, especially with the behavior of the consumers right now that they want everything on demand. They want the service real time. And at the same time, this will allow our contact centers to be able to service the more complex concerns for our customers. So we will be able to focus more on training our people, on making sure that we help our customers with the more challenging issues that they are having. With AI and automation, we will be able to service them quickly with simple concerns. We will be able to provide them the convenience, less wait time, and at the same time, um, we will be able to engage with more clients. Unlike in the past, that of course it will just depend on the number of people who will be available to answer the customer at a given point in time. So with RCBC credit card, or what we're doing right now is we have already started the automation using our digital platform. So, of course, like everybody else, we're using a chat bot and we're making sure that, for example, the card activation, the promos, and the application for credit cards is already available on those platforms so that they can easily access those facilities anytime. With our mobile app, we even also included even the reporting of the lost cards can also be done on the mobile app already. So instead of them calling in our hotline and waiting in line for someone to service them to get their cards blocked and replaced, that can already be done using the RCBC digital app. Another thing that we're doing, services like purchase conversion. So we have our Only Installment and Only Zero. These facilities are available ready in the mobile app, which the customers can use and can do anytime. So the part wherein when they are actually deciding whether I'm going to avail of this service and having the barrier of having to wait and decide on when I'm going to call, and if they call, they would have to wait for someone to service them. We have already removed that element because now they can do and avail the service anytime, anywhere, whenever they feel like it. Whenever it would be based on their own pace, on their own time. So the features that we have on the mobile app, it will make it simple, user friendly, so that they can read. It will be really easy for them to avail of the service, or it will really easy for them to get the information that they need whenever they need it.
Yeah, thank you, Pepper. I think that's the name of the game right now, right? We have to transition our customers from the traditional channels that they are used to the digital channels, and making sure that however we serve them in the traditional is more efficient vis-a-vis how we serve them on the digital, which is almost available all the time. Now, can we move on to Nick Hill to share his thoughts on how we considered AI and automation as game changer in the CX improvement space. Nikhil?
Absolutely. Hi, Hazel. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. The quick answer to the question whether it's going to be a game changer for BFSI industry, the answer is yes. And why? Okay, because we already know a lot of C customer facing organizations are already applying chatbots and digital assistant, and we are all using it, particularly for insurance and insurance related assistance services industry that I represent. Obviously, for customer onboarding, there's a lot happening, not so much on AI, but more so on the automation side. So, particularly in our business, we work with a lot of partner websites and mobile apps where the customer goes through the integrated purchase path, and it's a very low touch point kind of sales journey, and we have kind of mastered the automation part of it, and it's a very straight through journey. But as Dan mentioned initially, if a customer needs assistance during the purchase process, there should be an assistant available or immediate chatbot that could help through the customer. In our world, we haven't used it so far, but that's a brilliant suggestion, I would say. But I would be more focused on the post-purchase journey. And what I mean by that is, we Alliance Partners, we are a global leader in providing assistance services to insurance and many other industries. And what is more important for us from insurance standpoint is we provide good policy management service to the customer, and of course a good claims journey. So a lot of work that's being done to try and see how AI could be embedded when it comes to assisting our customers who are trying to reach us, our contact centers that we have worldwide, and to make it more efficient for the customer to kind of avail the service. Perhaps one use case in our industry would be the way we have applied digital roadside assistance as a service. So roadside assistance, the offline one has been there for many years, but now the digital roadside assistance journey kind of takes the customer on a slightly digital path. Like Dan mentioned, everyone is stuck to their screens these days. So regardless of where you are, you would be accessing your mobile phone at least. And in emergency situations, we allow the customer to seamlessly get in touch with our contact center, and that allows our agents to kind of immediately trigger the required service. So yeah, that's pretty much from my side on how things are impacting us and how insurers should be getting ready to kind of have more and more automation and AI in their journeys.
Okay, thanks, Nikhil. Now, just to round off with our panelist discussion, maybe we would like to hear also from Kian on his thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Hazel, for the introductions. So, for Collectives, so we are primarily focusing on outbound collections business, where we are doing a lot of outbound call to reach out to the customer. So in the traditional approach, where the collection business, so generally we will reach out to customer through calling to the customer. So I still remember the days where we were working in the call center, where we will have the calling segregated by calling the customer once in the morning. If the customer do not pick up, calling the customer again in the afternoon and then evening, and then rotate it again. So with the economic trends, with the economic and the social trends, right? So a lot of the customer now, they actually do not have a fixed landline. They are using mobile. So a lot of time when you call the customer, so they might be like attending a conference like right now, correct? Or they may be attending a meeting where they cannot pick up the call. So in Collectives, what we try to do is that we try to make the contact as seamless as possible. So we actually have this AI to understand, okay, through collecting the data and building the customer profile to understand how best the customer want to be reached. Like for example, if the customer always answer through a WhatsApp, so our first correspondence to customer will be through a WhatsApp. If the customer always responds through an email, we will definitely send our first communications to reach out to customer through email. So by having this, it will help us to actually be able to reach out to customer faster. And also in terms of the trend, where a lot of customer they like self-service. Okay, where I think a few of the speaker has mentioned this in the earlier discussions also, that in what we do is also we have a self-service portal. Okay, if we can't reach out to the customer, we will push a link to the customer where the customer can log on to this link and be able to log on to the account informations of themselves, and then self-service to create a payment plan for themselves, and essentially link to a payment portal, a payment link where they can actually link to their debit cards or their payment wallet to set up a recurring payment for themselves. So all this actually helps to enhance the customer experience from a traditional collection approach.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kian, for that talk. Just to summarize what we have gathered from everyone's sharing, right? So I think what I've picked up the most is that make ourselves available on screen. So power up and beep up your on screen presence. Always try to reconcile the experience between your traditional and your digital channel. And then, of course, focusing on post purchase experience, which actually builds customer retention and loyalty, is a must now that we're transitioning more and more to digital. And lastly, as Kian said, make yourself mobile first and self service. So I guess with that, we can actually close up with the question number one, unless there are some questions from the other panel that we want to share, or we can move on to the next question. Okay, so if there's no question from the panel, actually our question number two is kind of related to what we have from question number one. Now that we have entered the era of post-COVID new normal, now for context, since a lot of us are actually in the BFSI industry, so we're focused really on savings, investment, and protection. So this is kind of in the line of that questioning. For the context in the new normal, a lot of businesses, especially those that have been handling by individuals, have adapt or transitioned their operations to a more digital. And some of these businesses, unfortunately for them, have actually closed off or shut down. Maybe they don't have the capability to transition to digital, or they don't have the means, or they just lack the momentum to ride the transformational journey that a lot of companies are doing. Now, given that these are our new realities, and these are also the realities of our customers, the one that we serve, how critical it is, how critical it is do you see the role of AI in transforming the customer experience now that we have entered the era of the new normal post-COVID? So maybe we can hear from Pepper.
Yeah. Well, right now, I think more than ever, as I mentioned earlier, digital transformation, automation, AI is actually very timely because during the pandemic, a lot of people were forced to adapt to the digital transformation, especially here in the Philippines. As we all know, especially in the banking industry, most Filipinos like to do it manually because they are worried that if they're going to do it digital, they might lose their money, there might be some glitches. So there are a lot of fears and concerns in going digital pre-pandemic. But when the pandemic hit, everybody was forced to go digital. Everybody was locked up in their homes, and so everyone was forced to make their transaction online. And since everyone was forced to do everything through digital platforms, through digital channels, it's actually made the customers finally realize that there is a great convenience in doing things digitally. Aside from that, the fears that they have, the concerns that they used to have before in transitioning from the traditional setup to digital banking has been removed because they have realized that one, again, it's convenient. The security that the financial industry is offering on this digital platform is actually really good. And I believe, especially in the financial banking and financial industry, this is actually one of the top most concern and the priorities that we have when we are innovating and we are introducing digital platforms to our customers, because more than ever, data privacy, cybersecurity is at its peak since people went digital. Even the fraudster went digital as well. So we have to make sure that we protect our customer data, we protect our customers, their resources completely from any potential breach. So when the customers realize that this is something that is being prioritized by banks, by financial institutions, they became more open. They became more trustworthy in using digital platforms. And right now, the digital platforms has actually made everyone more resilient, made everybody more resilient to the pandemic. Without the digital platform, if we are not going to adapt with the digital transformation, you will actually be left behind, because again, people were forced to work from home. Most people, even now, they have actually been to hybrid setup, and since they have been doing this for the last 2 years now, they are really more familiar, or they're more accustomed now in doing things online. So maybe more than 50% of the consumers who would like to do things face to face have now transitioned and been converted to digital customers. So if we are not going to adapt to this new way, to these changes in the market, you will actually be left behind and you will not be able to grow your business. I think across all industries, this has been the trend. The transition to digitalization, to automation is not just for the customers. All businesses has to adapt as well, because again, this is the preferred channel now of our customers. It is easier to disseminate information to customers. It's easier to actually get customer to enroll to services, to avail services. It's now easier to process payment. All of the transaction is being done online. So what conversational AI and digital transformation is doing is making things easy and convenient for everyone, making everything readily available again anytime, anywhere for our customers at their own pace and at their own time. So, and with that, I think moving forward, this is where if your business is going to be successful, then you would really have to focus digital transformation, utilizing AI, because you also have to consider, just like what my colleagues mentioned earlier, our customers would also need a human factor. So there should still be a human factor involved in the digitalization. And so aside from doing, and the way for us to achieve that is of course the use of conversational AI, because it's replicating the human emotions, the human interaction that they are so used to receiving and having in the past. So that part will not go away, but that is something that we just need to interject and incorporate rather in the digital transformation that we are doing right now.
All right. Thanks, Pepper. And then maybe we can hear it from Dan as well on these thoughts on the post-COVID new normal for the digital transformation. Dan?
I echo, yeah. I echo what Pepper mentioned earlier. But using AI doesn't only transform the customer's experience, it also transforms the employee's experience. And we don't want to say that it's the silver bullet for our CX and EX issues, right? But I also like to view this question in two lenses, two competing behaviors and priorities. Number one, the behavior and the perception that customers are wired for negative reaction in terms of customer service. And truth be told, the perception today is that customer service is an interaction that is an unwanted interruption. True, right? No one wants to be served on over the phone or talking to someone from the company unless it is really needed. That's the last thing that we wanted to do. The second one is that companies are wired for efficiencies, and management sees contact centers as cost center. It's an expensive and unavoidable way of doing business, right? So when you merge these two things, how can you achieve and transform that perception into a positive one? And how can we also achieve efficiency at the same time? And AI also is something that we're exploring right now. We're prioritizing being best in class in two journeys for life insurance. Number one, it's onboarding. We are the first in the Philippines to implement an automated underwriting system. We can issue you a policy straight through in minutes. And we also have the best in class claims journey where we can issue you your claims, release the funds in a couple of days, 2 to 3 days. We can issue that for a straight through process. And there are a lot of opportunities to make those still better. But in terms of the servicing journey, the best and ideal for us is to serve customers at all. The race to zero phone calls, I think everyone is going through that. And for us to do that, we're empowering customers to self-serve whenever they can on screen. And using AI, what we're trying to achieve right now is we want to surface AI-powered answers on tickets automatically. At the same time, we also want to deploy intent-based workflows so that customers can immediately take action, self-service at the onset, providing a seamless journey at the onset. And we also wanted to have a triage of some sort, interface between the customer and the agent that we have on the servicing journey, because we want to make sure that we detect sentiments at the onset and also the use of the language that they have so that we can automatically prioritize and categorize concerns and filter out spams and unwanted concerns with unprecedented accuracy. At the same time, it can also transform the agent's perspective on how they do jobs. You know, customer service today is a role that has been dehumanized, to be honest, right? It's so easy. It has become an easy punching bag for everyone because of the negative sentiment around customer service. But if we're able to use AI to transition that mindset of the agent from being a production worker to a collaboration and knowledge worker, contact center to a collaboration center, that's going to increase employee engagement because enabling them with AI allows them to get complete control of the ticket's context without ever having to do a lot of things manually. They can also surface relevant knowledge from any source using knowledge-based driven AI automatically. And they're able to do what they do best, become human and interact with the customer and let AI and bots do what it does best, which is to automate things.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. I think that shift of mindset is really very relevant right now because most of the time when we do digital transformation, right, from the grassroots level of the people that we actually wanted to transition to automation, pushbacks and challenges comes from there because they have this fear that they might be losing their jobs against the AIs that will be put in place and the automation mechanisms that will be replacing them. But we have to look at it from the lens of a human capital investment as well, right? How do we upskill and retool the people that we used to have that actually does mundane tasks like data encoding and so on? So thanks for your thoughts on this one. Any other comments or insights from the rest of our panel that we wanted to share for this discussion? We will move on to the next topic, which is I think more precise, more concise. No. So for the next question, if there's no more comments, is what role does conversational AI and automation play in complementing your customer insurance journey? So maybe we'd like to hear from Nick Hill his thoughts on this one.
Thank you for the question, Hazel. And before I go on answering, I would like to acknowledge that what Dan shared and what Dan and Insular Life team is doing in the Philippines it's very interesting and very exciting, I would say. And I realize, so he's talking from the life insurance standpoint. Perhaps I would like to share the perspective more from the general insurance and assistance services side of things. Yeah. So like I alluded in my previous answer, there's already a lot of work that's been happening. So yes, there is a lot of work that's being done to kind of see and apply conversational AI and automation so as to smoothen the customer journey. And that's also allowing us insurers to kind of optimize our services, optimize our processes, and even streamline those from original offline, now everything electronically. And it has actually allowed us to kind of reduce the time and effort that we spend on actually rendering the services to the end customer. Then I would take it a little further, and I would like to kind of emphasize that when it comes to our contact centers, there are mainly two sorts of services that we render. Yeah, one are emergency services. That would include anyone requiring travel medical assistance, which is an emergency assistance while they are on their trip. Or for motor insurer customers, if they need roadside assistance, they would, need to contact us in case of an accident or a breakdown even. And the other side of the services that we kind of render are post travel, which are more claim services, which we consider as non-emergency. So going back to emergency services, I mean, yes, you would imagine that if someone is needing a medical assistance or someone is stuck by the roadside, they need to be talking to a real human. And it makes it slightly tricky for us to kind of bring in conversational AI. However, there are attempts being made to what Deepak was initially mentioning, what Unifor is doing. So knowing the tonality or the sentiments like Dan mentioned of the customer, understanding the customer behavior right at the outset when the call lands in the contact center, the agent could actually prepare, they could adapt to the decision trees that have been put in place and immediately go on to trigger the kind of services that are required for that particular incident. So the intervention intervention is made a lot more quick and efficient, I would say. Then bringing that to non-emergency services, yes, like I mentioned, a chatbot or a digital assistant can definitely guide a person to submit the claim online, have the personalized queries pertaining to the claims answered electronically before that can be warm transferred to an actual agent. So for us, assistant services industry, it always has to be a combination of human and non-human, especially because the kind of sensitive emergency assistance services that we deliver for RB partners. So yeah, I would like to sum up by saying that yes, it's high time that we insurers start utilizing this and be, so to speak, future ready to start appealing to the masses. People who are using mobile phones are used to get all the services through their mobile devices and mobile phones, and that's eventually gonna impact the customer experience, definitely. So how they perceive the organization matters a lot. So the NPS would be kind of improved dramatically. And a bit about employee experience, yes, the smoother you make the processes for them, they can then focus more on things that are more complex, that are more rewarding, and something that can keep them motivated and have a longer tenure with the organization.
So the next question really is more journey stage specific question, particularly on the collection process. So in the collection process in the contact center, so how do we maximize the RPC or right party connects, which is always important to get a relevant promise to pay from the customers? In your experience, how much of an impact can conversational AI bring with reminder automation and borrower insights? Now, since Kian is very much passionate into transforming and reimagining the traditional way of collections, maybe we'd like to hear his thoughts on this question.
Yeah, thanks Hazel for the introductions. So I think first of all, I think in our company, before we even start talking about using the AI, using the digital transformations, I think first of all, in our company, we want to set a humanized kind of culture in the organizations where we actually send across the message to all our employee and staff to treat customer with care. Okay, so for example, we don't call the collection customer debtor, we call them our customer. Okay, so to set the forefront from the perspective. So having said that, so increasing the right party is a multi-tier modeling that we adopt. Okay, so I think first of all, using the AI to understand the customer, okay, to understand from the customer how the customer would like to be contacted, okay, is very critical, because a lot of the time, right, customer did not actually pick up your call, did not answer the call, is not because they try to avoid you, okay? So sometimes they actually are really busy, so you get them in the wrong time. So by understanding, so we have a lot of deep analytics. Okay, we build a lot of behavioral score on the customer to understand the customer, okay, to see which segment of the customer they belongs, and then how this segment can be actually placed in the various hierarchy of our outreach. So and overlay with the AI, like when we understand that, oh, these are the customer that always like to be contacted by WhatsApp. Okay, so we will generate them on WhatsApp. Okay, so customer who wants an email, we will send them an email. Okay, and then those customer who likes to have a reminder call, we will actually staff our call center accordingly to say, like, for example, through our analysis, we find that, hey, most of the time, customer pick up their call during lunchtime, for example. So what we did is that we actually do a staffing on our call center to ensure that during lunchtime, okay, we have more staff available. So we stagger our lunch to ensure that more staff are available to do the outreach to the customer. We also provide a lot of self-service channel to the customer, where if we cannot reach the customer, we will either send an SMS or WhatsApp reminder, email reminder to the customer to say, try to reach out to us. So the customer can actually reach us through the chat box, okay? And then find or get most of the answer through the chat box. And then if they cannot find the answer to chat box, they will be routed to the agent. If after office hour, we do actually give customer the options to leave down their phone number for us to reach them at the time they want to be called. So by giving all this convenience to the customer, okay, so this will enable the customer, the right party, to increase the right party for coming back to us and for us to reach out to the right party. And from that perspective, by engaging on this digital channel, self-service channel, we do see our right party contact rate actually increase by by 10 to 15% by adopting this journey. So that is how I think we are still in a test and learn stage. Okay, so our primary results are showing significant improvements in the right party contact, which later will translate. So once we get a customer, so we will actually try to work with the customer on their means and needs, okay, to structure a plan that work for them. We even have a behavioral score, okay, built on the customer with the demographic and their payment data to see what kind of offer we can offer to the customer. So if the customer successfully contact to the customer, the mediator that we have can actually, basis on the score of the customer, offer the right sorts of help and right sort of installment and plan for the customer to increase the conversion rate from the right party contact as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ian, for your thoughts. I think realistically here in the Philippines, I think we have the notion and the perception that when we talk about collection, it's relatively bad thing, right? It means that the customers are not paying. But if you look at it from the perspective of, doing behavioral scoring, meaning getting to know and keeping a deep sense of knowing their payment history and data, you get a sense of feel that these people are not necessarily not paying. It's just that they have to be constantly reminded that they need to pay,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think nobody will want to be bad, right? So
Yeah.
that is the logic. So everyone want to be back to the society, and live and move on to society. So that is our philosophy as well. So we will try, every means to reach out to help the customer to, help them to move back to the society, even they have a debt, from that perspective. Yeah.
Alright. Thank you. Thank you for that, Kian. I think we are nearing our last question, which is actually since you've mentioned setting that humanized culture for this, right? So I think the last question would be on how do we actually retain that human touch when we talk about conversational AI to make sure that there's that seamless and contextual agent handover if ever it is a more complex customer cases and concerns. Now, I think for this one, I would leave it up to you, to the panelists. If you wanted to chip in and provide some insights, feel free. But I think I wanted to ask first Pepper, since she's doing customer service on this one. So, Pepper, maybe you can share some of your insights on this. How do we retain that human touch in the conversational AI?
Thanks, Hazel. Well, right now it's very important that AI and human support coexist. We have to actually consider the customer's preferences. As mentioned, although a lot of people are very much open to selecting the digital channels that we have, we still have a lot of customers who are still comfortable and who are still feels that they to contact us using the traditional channels like the contact center. So being able to find the right balance on when we can actually direct the concern to the contact center or to the traditional channels is very important. More than ever right now, most of our all customers actually they feel that there is a high value for empathy, so they really need to feel that someone really values them, someone is actually really understanding their concern. And that would actually allow us to be able to provide a delightful customer experience. So understanding what are the concerns that we can actually direct using AI is very important. Just like what my colleagues mentioned or my peers here mentioned earlier, that we would normally direct the simple concerns to AI so that it will be easier for them to get the service anytime. But for more complex concerns, more complex cases, that is something that can be directed to the contact center so that there will be someone who will really be able to specify or get to the bottom to the details of the needs of the customer and be able to address it completely, something that is a limitation of having an AI or a chatbot. One thing that is very important is that we have to make sure that the AI or chatbot that we have also does not have just artificial intelligence, but also have artificial empathy. Incorporating it in the NLP, incorporating it in the training of the chatbot is very important. Simple as how would the chatbot respond depending on the statement of the customer would be very important. If the customer is unhappy or if the customer is delighted with the service or satisfied with this answer that was provided by the chatbot, is something that should be incorporated when you train the chatbot so that it will be able to identify if this is something that we need to improve on, if this is a service that needs to be transferred to the contact center. So a complex concern that needs to be resolved by a person. Another thing is that there should also be what we call an intelligent automation, wherein we should be able to identify when someone should actually already take over the concern or the inquiry. So instead of just leaving everything to AI, there should be a supervisor who will be able to monitor the behavior, the languages that are being sent to the or the intents that are being sent to the chatbot so that it can be reviewed, so that we will be able to identify what are the challenges that were encountered by our customers, how we can improve the learning, of the chatbot and what are the things that needs to be directed to the contact center. Artificial empathy is mostly based on personal, situational, and again, based on appropriate intent. So that is something that we need to train our chatbots on. As simple as the questions that normally a chatbot are asking is, are you happy with the service that I provide you? Or did that answer your question? It's actually a simple way for us to determine if this is something that can fully be answered by AI or it's something that we would need to move to a human assistant. So these are the things that we would need to consider so that we can make sure that there is a right balance between human support and at the same time with AI. So we can't really, it's like Dan mentioned earlier, we can't really, remove it completely, the human support. It should work side by side.
Pepper, I do agree with the balance of using AI and the personal touch of our agents. But I'll go on a different route. For me, about a human touch, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be given by a live person. Today, the number of people who start their interaction with a company, aside from online, is decreasing. All of us almost start our interaction with a company in one way or another online. And it's up to us to make them feel like these platforms, digital platforms, are embedded into their day-to-day lives so that we as a company could make them feel empowered to learn and to do more given their limited time and attention as well. After all, as a customer, I would like to feel from a company that you're getting me on board into doing what I needed. Example, customer service is an interruption, helping me accomplish the easiest way that I can do without necessarily talking to a live person. So for me, that is a direction I want to take when we talk about human touch in terms of AI, not necessarily being delivered by an agent, but it's allowing the customers to feel that we're onboarding them, bringing them into this digital world, and that no one is being left behind.
Yeah, I second you on that one, Dan. I think that's just like what you mentioned. One thing is that the chatbot should be able to speak the script or deliver the script, whether written or verbally, with the tone and inflection of a human person, so that customer wouldn't feel that there is a difference between talking to a AI or talking to a real person. So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Okay, thanks, Pepper. And then two conflicting, opposite side of the coin. But I think at the end of the day, what we really wanted to have is that digital empathy. That regardless whether or not it's a traditional channel or a digital channel, empathy is there and we understand and we empower our customers. Now, any other additional questions before we wrap up and go to our Q&A section from our other panelists who would like to share their thoughts on this one? If none, I think our friends from the future event would have some Q&A already for our panelists. Or maybe even our panelists have some of their own questions that they would like to ask their co-panelists. Feel free, feel free to do so, please.
Uh, like I was mentioning that in our industry, if we are dealing with emergency cases, I mean, what you presented initially, Deepak, about what Unifor is doing, very exciting. But have you also given a thought to cases which are very sensitive, emergency cases, sensitive in the sense emergency, yeah. So someone who is requiring help then and there, does your AI application have any special or specific channel to kind of engage with such customers and have special attention to those, so on and so forth?
Okay. Thanks, Nikhil, for the question. And I would refer this more towards a discussion that Dan was also having in terms of that whether machines or human, that human touch and then the emotional aspect needs to be there. And what we have also seen, and some of the studies like Forrester and also suggest that from an insurance perspective or banking as well, a lot of products there will be a difference in the products, but there is a huge similarity. So it will not be drastically different. But at the same time, that relationship or human connect, or I would say emotional connect rather, that needs to be there. So when there is like an emergency situation or maybe an urgent requirement of customer which needs to be handled. So if I look at the product suite that we are offering, in that I can see that how it can be sensitized. So that emotional aspect or the sentimental or the human touch, that part is taken care of. So that empathy needs to be there. The one of the major factors in BFSI industry as such is that the customer has to trust that, okay, my bank is not doing enough for me. It is like it's very easy to switch from one to another. But the trust factor, to build that, it is very important that the entire journey, it is not just resolution dependent, it has to be trust dependent. So it's like, okay, I'm not just a customer, it's a membership. So it is a partnership. I feel belong. So I think from that perspective, yes, if I talk about the technical algorithms, that can be factored as to, okay, this is an emergency situation, so it needs to be handled at an immediate basis, and that it jumps over the queue and it can be handled. But that is just one aspect of it. But I'm talking about the overall experience. I think when sentiment analytics, emotional AI, knowledge AI, when it comes together, it is a better resolution with more trust and a better conversation. I hope I was able to answer that. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you so much, Deepak.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nikhil
Perfect.
and Deepak, for that. So maybe before we formally, close out this session, I would like to ask each of our panelist speaker, maybe they can share some key takeaways from this session. So Nikhil, since you're already there, maybe you'd like to start.
Sure. Yes. Actually, a lot of food for thought for me through this session, I would say, because yes, because Allianz Partners, we're part of Allianz, the globally leading brand in insurance, but Allianz Partners specifically engages in a lot of emergency service assistance and a lot of assistance services that banks and insurance companies would like to embed in their core insurance product. So from that standpoint, there's a lot that can be, applied to the contact centers that we have globally. We have presence in 35 markets. And of course, we use sophisticated systems to kind of interact with the customers, but there's immense scope to kind of bring in the new technology like the one that Deepak is mentioning. And I think it will only enable us to, give good service to our B partners, to C customers, and reduce a lot of frustration for our employees. So it's been a wonderful session for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikhil. Sorry, I missed. There was a question. So maybe before we pass into the next speaker for their key takeaways, we'd like to discuss the question that has been raised here. Has there been any resistance by employees with regards to the implementation of AI due to fear of automation causing them to lose their jobs? So maybe from the panel speaker here, if you've already done your automation transformation or automation initiatives, any resistance that you have faced during those programs?
That
I
fear happens. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead. Sorry.
Very quickly, that fear only happens when you don't involve them in the change itself, because awareness is key in terms of onboarding them in the transformation. We transform. If you're onboarded, you can also transform. So you will not lose your job. So that fear happens only if you don't involve them in the transformation. Yes, Pepper.
Yeah. Pepper, you'd like to add something on that?
Yeah, so we have the same answer. So just like what Dan mentioned, you really have to involve people. Like for RCBC credit card, what we did is like we make sure that everyone is involved with the changes that we're going to be implementing, that they understand how it will impact the work that they do and how it will actually help them become more efficient and become more productive. Just like what was mentioned earlier, we are able to direct them to do other tasks, more productive tasks, instead of doing repetitive tasks, repetitive roles, which actually leads to burnout. So instead of them being resistive with the changes, they have actually become more welcoming. They have actually welcomed these new changes because they know that the the usual habitual repetitive task has been taken out from their bucket, and they're now be able to do more collaboration, be able to help strategize more and answer more again conflict concerns, and really be able to solve more pressing issues that we have at present. So yeah, collaborating, involving everyone is very important.
Thanks, Pepper. So just to add my own 2 cents on that one, I think in any big transformation program, there has to be a work stream on change management, which usually we partner with HR. So they're the ones who's actually painting the picture of the future for those who will be most impacted when we do automation initiatives, right? So we kind of give them that these are the futures and kind of roles that they need to look forward to. So it actually eliminates the fear of losing their jobs, right? Yeah. And we have an additional question here, but I think this one is more for Deepak. Has this been used? So I'm assuming the question is talking about Unifor. Has this been used in other countries? And which countries? And how are they adjusting to these AIs? So maybe Deepak would like to take on this question.
Thank you, Hazel, and thank you for the question as well. So yeah, this is implemented and now widely implemented within various geographies, whether talk about the Americas, Europe, and South Asia and Southeast Asia has a big adoption. Australia and New Zealand have started the journey, and it is coming up big. There are many implementations going and POCs going over there as well. And how are they adjusting to the AI is something I think it's a more of a two-pronged approach, and it also relates to the earlier question, because now most of the matured organizations are now pros at change management, involving everyone in the change process, and that obviously makes the resistance go away. The journey is much smoother. At the same time, what we discussed earlier also, it is not just about the customer experience anymore. It is also about the agent experience. When an agent interacts or have a conversation with the customer, it is not an easy task to do. It is very stressful. It gets smoother over time because now the agent is pro in various things, but they have to go through so many updates, CRMs, different screens, keep talking, documenting. There are calls on wait and so on. So it's a stressful environment to be in. So if we are able to make their life easier with the help of AI, they have knowledge available easily. They know that, okay, I don't have to like toggle between screens. I don't have to keep documenting, and the stress level is lowered. So I think a better agent experience also contributes a lot towards the customer experience. So when you have a higher CSAT, higher NPS, the agent is happy, it's a win-win for everyone. So I would say that adjusting to AI is more in terms of technology and the initial training and adoption. But once that happens, it becomes part of the DNA, and then the journey is much smoother as compared to earlier. So it becomes more welcoming. So that is what we have observed so far in our implementations.
Thanks, Deepak. So we have two more questions. The first question is very implementation specific. Like, what are the potential implications of using AI-based technologies to automate decision making in banking? So maybe from our panelists, who are in the banking industry who would like to take on this question?
Okay, I'll take this one as well.
Okay, go
So
ahead, Deepak.
thank you. Yeah, so when we talk about decision making, it can be two-pronged again. One is a very transactional decision making. So that's the easier part, I would say. And that can be easily taken by AI in terms of that, okay, is this person or the customer eligible for a loan approval or not, maybe a card upgrade or not. So that's very transactional. And what a human being will also do is go into a system, check, or maybe apply for one as per the decision can inform the customer. So that is very transactional. AI takes care of it very easily. Uh, at the same time, what we normally call as grievance or complaints. So that if we leave it totally to AI, I think to some extent it can track, but it cannot resolve, because someone who is in distress wants that empathy to come from that human to human touch. So that can be taken care by AI partially, because that enables the agent who is handling the grievance with all the arms and ammunition to support the customer. That support mechanism has to be there. But if we leave it totally to a bot, like imagine a situation wherein you want to raise a complaint, but you are going through a 10 minutes of IVR punching ones and twos and fives on the phone. So that is a time it just aggravates more. So, but at the same time, if a live person is enabled that, okay, this person is in distress, you know that, okay, he was on a IVR bot or a chat bot, had this issue already, and now has come to the live person and has all the background to the interaction. And now what are the next steps to be taken? It is much smoother. So the irate customers now become a happy customer. So from that perspective, I think that emotional touch has to be there. So either it is fully AI driven or partially, depending upon the situation.
All right. Thanks, Deepak. And then for our last question, this is about the leadership role actually. So, can you share what specific activity or role of the leadership team should be displaying for the organization to fully embrace AI and automation or digital transformation in general?
For us, we established a center of excellence. I think that's the starting point for everything. Depending on your maturity level, your management team should invest in people who are skilled. If there are none for the organization, you have to buy talent and put them into COE so that the COE can scale up the capabilities across the organization. Without this siloed effort, automation across the business will prevail, and that's what most businesses do. So if everything is centered around a center of excellence, and then you branch it out into a federated approach, the impact would be scalable.
Thanks, Dan. So maybe just my 2 cents. If we go to the route of center excellence, before that, we need the leadership team to actually, sponsor and of course funding of all of these initiatives. Because without sponsorship and funding, even if there's this strategy going in place, if you don't have strong relationship on your leaders, there won't be any support coming from top level management. So I think that's one thing that is actually needed from their end as well.
We are honored to be invited in this webinar. Again, I think the key thing that is very important if you are going to be initiating automation and using conversational AI in your organization, that you always incorporate empathy. Never lose the human factor, because it's very important. You would again always need to make sure that you consider the preferences of your customers. You would always need to make sure that you have to understand what are your customer needs, and then tailor fit them on the channels that giving to the customers, the channels that you will be making available for your customers. So uh, that's something that should always be on top of your priorities whenever you're initiating automation or any digital transformation. Thank you.
Not quite, I shared my thoughts already, but thank you. It's been a great session. Thank you for organizing it, future event.
first of all, thanks for inviting me for this conference. I learned a lot from the panelists. Yeah, so I think key important things that I've learned from this panel discussion is that when we were doing implementations of the AI automations, so I think the key point to consider is a customer. So when I say customer, it's not only external customer and also internal customer. So both these customer need to be take care, communicated, and understand carefully when we are doing any this kind of AI implementations. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
It was an awesome conversation. I think this is what it was all about, conversational AI. But other than that, the conversation itself was good. We exchanged great views. The panel discussion was awesome. I think whether or not we understand, but unconsciously we take away a lot. And when we see the real life scenario, we are able to connect the dots then. So thanks a lot, everyone, for contributing. I look forward to meeting you at some time.
Thank you for inviting me. This is the first time that I've been invited as a moderator. I think key takeaway for me is that when building, conversational AI, we should look at it from a CX perspective. So at least for me, there has to be some guiding principles underneath all of these implementations. So I'm just going to use the level of interactions that we actually do, which is level one, transactional level interactions. This is where it has to be informative. Like the user asks, we provide an answer, and then that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Next level would be conversational interaction. This is where we actually address specific concerns and provide empathy to our users. And then, of course, lastly would be the relational interaction. This is where we actually build trust and we co-create with our users. So I think those for me are the key takeaways with this. Most of them have been discussed earlier. So I thank you for all of the panelists for sharing their thoughts and ideas and their experiences on this one. Thank you.